Hi, I'm Dr. Brenda Lin, and I'm a Principal Research Scientist at CSIRO. I'm coming to you from Yuggera in Brisbane, Australia.
And hello from Davis in sunny California, the nation of the Patwin people. Hi, I'm Alessandro Ossola, an assistant professor in urban plant science at the University of California, Davis.
The early COVID-19 lockdowns deeply affected all of us. With Alessandro and colleagues across Germany, the United States, and Australia, we decided to research how COVID-19 lockdowns were affecting people's attitudes toward gardening. We used Google Trends analysis, which is that background data that Google keeps track of what people are searching for, where they're searching for, what terms they're searching for, and when. And we use that to help us better understand these trends. We searched for the term gardening in 39 countries and translated it into the respective languages of the countries.
In this graph on my right, each point represents a country. You can see that as COVID-19 infection peaked during the first wave in each country, so did the online interest for gardening. Here, the horizontal axis represents the week of the first peak of COVID-19 infections in each country, and the vertical axis, the week of online peak interest in gardening based on Google Trends. This is a very strong relationship, and it indicates that people's interest in gardening was very much in synchrony with what was going on in people's lives.
In fact, we think people used gardening as a way to remove themselves from the daily stress of COVID, this new way of life that people were enduring, and all the changes in their life. They found refuge in their garden and had time to spend in nature, but also socializing with other people across the yard, in the sidewalks, in the streets, and that provided some comfort to them. Google was a good way for people to find information about gardening if they hadn't gardened before, or even new information about where to get resources, or how to garden in different ways.
It is interesting to notice that this trend was common to countries all around the world, and it was independent of the climate regions and even the seasons. In time of crisis and a global unprecedented pandemic, our common human response to such a crisis was to go back to the basis and prepare for the worst with the tools that historically we always use as people, the plants and the soils around us.
Maybe you have experienced this yourself or with your family and friends. And what we found is that millions of people around the world actually had this experience too, of really rediscovering gardening or re-embracing gardening so that they could de-stress and remove themselves from the daily stress of life.
As researchers, we found some interesting data and evidence, but now it's up to people and communities to make sure that gardening stays with us in our lives well after COVID-19 is over. In some countries, medical doctors can now prescribe walks in nature as alternatives to drugs and pills to fight some health and psychological disorders. This is time for action. It's time to convince your local council to establish a community garden if there is none around you.
We can transform these negative experiences into more positive ones for the future. If we can take advantage of trying to make our cities greener, trying to make even our gardens, our balconies, our local areas greener so that we can enjoy it, but for the benefit of the community as well. Thank you.